Hi friends, welcome back to my lockdown diaries. This is Shashwat here. These diaries are supposed to be my repositories of thoughts and experiences. So yeah, it's a new week, new Monday, and it's a bit of a different Monday for us, especially because the kids have finally got their vacation. When this whole coronavirus epidemic started and the lockdown was imposed, while we technically had a forced vacation of sorts, but the kids, suddenly the schools got serious about their education and started to move on to a digital platform kind of a thing. So over the past month or so, there have been a lot of interesting struggles going on in terms of getting that education piece right. So I thought, why not why not talk a bit more on these digital education thing and my experiences as a parent. I'm not an expert on this, but yes, so I've seen the whole learning thing happening very close quarters from my kids' side. So I thought, let me explore that a bit. So yeah, as far as I remember right now, the month just like how demonetization had forced digital payments on us, this epidemic, the lockdown forced digital education on us. Suddenly we had to upgrade ourselves into learning into new things of connections. Especially, forget about us as parents. The challenge was more to get the kids on board for all these things. Initially the kids were curious and they were very happy and enthusiastic about the fact that they'll be having a digital, they won't have to go to school, and there'll be all these virtual lectures that will be happening. And typically they enjoy mobile and all these iPad digital gadgets a lot more. So for them it was just an excuse to play around with them a bit more. But what happened actually was, when this whole thing started, it was a initial testing time for both the schools, I'm sure, as well as for the parents as well. So in our in the particular case of our school, which went digital, they adopted Google Classroom. So it started with teachers sending PPTs out, which we were meant to get download them, learn from them, and then they moved on to audio lectures. From audio lectures they went into live classroom kind of a thing. So it was a gradual movement that happened, and it was very interesting struggles, because suddenly now rather than struggling about education, we had a lot more things on our hands. So I'll give you an example. Typically when the kids go to school, your duty finishes off when you pack their lunches and send them off in the bus, right? Here, as parents, we were constantly on our toes to ensure that everything was working right. So you were worried about that the devices were charged. You were worried about right from what backgrounds they were sitting in. You were worried about whether everything was audible and all. You were worried about the Wi-Fi passwords. You were worried about all those downloads. Then you were talking about the uploads. So all these education had suddenly put a vast amount of burden on the parents itself. And that is what the interesting challenge of this whole digital piece has been. It has been from the onus has been passed from the teachers to the parents, while the students are kind of enjoying it at the moment. So for them it has become easier. For them it's more, instead of spending hours in the school, they have 2 or at max 3 lectures that are timed at certain distances. Even those lectures they can afford not to be attentive, because all of them are not on video calls. The third most interesting thing has been the tests have also changed. The nature of the tests have changed. Previously they had to write it down thing. Now it's become those objective kind of a thing, where they just have to make selections in a multi-choice answers, and that's about it. So all these have been kind of fun for them, because they are now sitting at their own pace and doing things, and it's easy for them. But the challenges have vastly increased for the schools, the teachers, as well as for the parents. So what does this imply? Considering the fact that going forth, digital education is going to be a reality that we'll have to live for quite some time now. By any guesses, the schools won't be opening very soon, and even if they will be, there might be these spurts in cases which will ensure that these kind of lockdowns are happening. I know a lot of parents who are wary about the fact of sending their kids to school, even if they are open. We have all these norms about not touching our face and all these things, while as adults we find it so difficult to control it ourselves. Just imagine the case it will be for the kids. So this constant threat and fear will always be working over our minds. So in these realities, what's going to be the future? So the challenges are basically three types. The first type of challenges is a very pretty decent one. It's a technological and the technical leap kind of a thing, where the biggest challenge for right now parents will be, when they were caught in this thing, they weren't sure of what devices to operate, whether their phones were functional. Mothers had to suddenly remember all the Wi-Fi passwords and all these complex passwords that were there. They had to completely get attuned to all these things. So these are the technological challenges that are there. The second bit of issue that will arise is the skill based kind of a thing. Now the curriculum that we have, the way the education thing is structured in India is not meant for digital learning. So if we are going to move to a digital setup, we will have to completely rehaul the whole thing. If you compare Indian education system with anyone else, we have a vast amount. We believe in quantity rather than real quality stuff. So you'll have every kid will have huge amount of thing in every subject. In a digital atmosphere, that's not possible. It has to be more visual. It has to be more interactive. It has to be more engaging, and that will require a whole new set of skill sets. The teachers right now who are accustomed to stand in front of the class and deliver their lectures and just prescribe some homework, the realities will change, because now not only will they have to take these classes, but they are also taking these classes under the glare of the parents. Right now, what used to happen in the school, everyone was oblivious about it. Right now the parents are part of this whole thing. They are watching this thing and they can pass judgment. Oh, this is not doing right, this is not happening right, this is there have been certain cases where some of my favorite subjects were going on, and I was also keenly listening to what is happening, just because that history happens to be a subject of mine. So I was listening to what the lecture was going on to understand the level of skills of the tutor as well. So the teachers will need to completely learn new skill sets. They will have to take there will be a completely new dimension when it comes to learning and training. They'll have to learn the new aspects itself. Thirdly, the big thing that we will also require is what will happen to the way the psychological impacts this kind of education will have. School is not merely an education center. It is also a social gathering where kids get a lot of social skills, right? They meet with friends, they interact with them, they play with them, they learn. Right now we are completely caught up in our homes. We have completely cordoned off everything else, and we are just focusing on the learning part. But there's a big part of the social skills that the kids gain. How they interact with people, how they respect elders. All these little things which are not part of the curriculum are taught in these schools. Say crafts. How can you teach crafts or drawing online, right? How can you do all those kind of non academic kind of things on the digital platform? My kids were part of the basketball and all these teams at school. What will happen to those kind of activities that they were doing? So there's a whole new dimension that needs to be addressed at some point. The kind of psychological impact. I'm sure a lot of studies would be going on around these things internationally as well, to understand and evaluate the kind of differences all these things will have on the whole business and the whole setup of education itself. Yeah, so these are the kind of challenges that I thought most of the parents would be facing. For instance, I remember there was my kid was having one of his lectures just in the initial days. So what happened was much of so the lecture was around 45 minutes to 1 hour. A vast majority of that time was spent by the teacher just trying to solve 2-3 simple queries. Madam, I can't see you. Madam, I can't hear you. Madam, I can't do this. So she was the poor. I almost sympathize with the poor lady because she was saying the same thing over and over again. These are kids who are in the age group of 8-9 kind of a age group. For them, these are very simple things. In this classroom, it must be pretty normal, but on a digital platform, it's very annoying in that sense. But yet, she had to hold her patience and work accordingly. So I guess the teachers will have to now do a little bit of yoga in the morning itself before they get into these classroom, because they'll have to be calm and patient with all this silliness that will be abounding all over. So that is about the digital piece, but these are the challenges aspect. Let me also talk about the opportunities that with everything there's the pro and the con, right? So I spoke about the con as usual. Now let me touch upon the pros. The pros is it completely enhances. Let me start with the enhances the whole field of education itself. It's more on digital. It's more visual. It's more learning. You can use a whole lot of hyperlinks. You can connect to a lot of tidbits there. Take the success of Byju's and all this as an example. Why have they been so successful in adopting this medium is because they have utilized the power of the digital to their advantage, and this is what a lot of schools can also do. Forget schools, not only there are a lot of other things that can go on a digital learning platform as well. You have all these Udemy and all these whole bunch of courses from marketing to engineering to everything. Not even that, I know classes are going online. There are dance classes that are going online. There are yoga classes that are going online. There are a lot of mythology discussions that are happening on Instagram. There's very interesting my kids are doing the swimming training, their physical training with their swimming team on Zoom classes. So there's a whole spectrum of things that can completely go online, and digital medium completely revolutionize that fact, and it can give you a whole lot of opportunity in that thing. I for myself am working on a very interesting project. There's this friend of mine who's there in UK. His name is Luke Douglas Home. He has a project going on called as A Future Without Rubbish. So this was a waste management program that has been running in schools in UK and Romania, and we thought we'll bring this program in India. So I was in discussion with them, and we also signed up one of the India's topmost schools for this program. So unfortunately, because of the lockdown, we weren't able to move forward. So right now we are working on a digital module of that program, and that is the interesting aspect. A lot more programs like this, lot more non-academic interventions can go on a digital scale. You can teach kids about governance. You can teach kids about a whole variety of things which can be now taken on a digital platform. You can take storytelling. You can take mythology. You can take whole lot of things. There are a whole bunch of things that can go online. So in that scenario, digital can be a big opportunity as well. So just like everything that comes, I'm sure as we move forward in the days to come, we will progress from all these teething troubles to all these interesting. I'm sure there will be a lot more apps coming out. There will be a lot more websites which will come out. There will be a lot more engagement that will evolve on this platform. So personally, I'm very hopeful and very excited about the prospect of digital education. I've been a big votary of this kind of engagements, and I'm sure the generation that is coming, they are very attuned and excited. They are very savvy with all these things. My kids, they didn't have even a single bit of a problem adapting to all these platforms that were there. They were very quickly, they're quite accustomed to all these things. I'm sure that's what's happening, and so I'm sure many kids will be there. My only worry, and that is my only thing right now, this we should not have a scenario where there's a division between the digital haves and the digital have not. There will be a lot of schools, there are a lot of governmental schools, there are a lot of not so well off schools which will have difficulty in completely signing up on these programs. Also there's an aspect of the fees structure, so in the WhatsApp group of our school there was a lot of discussion going on, what happens to the fee, should we be paying the complete fees given the fact that the schools won't be functional, and let's take it for granted the schools won't be functional for a lot many more months to come. So the private schools fees are on the higher scales. Would you be paying those fees? Would you want a reduction on those fees to be paid? Those are the aspects that need to be addressed in these coming days. Also we need to ensure that the other schools, the not so tech savvy schools, their children don't suffer in these days of the lockdown. They should not suffer for the want of having technology at hand. Their parents might not have these savvy devices, their parents might not have laptops. I'm sure many scores of parents, especially in the vernacular school, they all will have no clue about what PPTs, what downloads, what all these kind of Google Classrooms are. So we need in some manner to ensure that when these lockdown, the schools are closed all over the place, there is some mechanism being worked out for these huge number of students across our semi-urban and rural areas. So that is one of the challenge that that is very specific to a country like India. I hope that we are able to resolve this. I hope as we move forth on all these aspects, that there's a whole new interesting bit that comes out. I remember when I was much younger, when there was only Doordarshan for all of us to view, there used to be a programming band which used to come called as UGC programming, which was University Grants Commission, and therein you would have all these teachers come online and give lectures. It used to happen almost every day, if I'm not wrong. Frankly, it was so boring that I don't remember sitting through any of those lectures. But yes, that is the kind of thing. Maybe now digital education will have to involve all these aspects as well. You will have to involve YouTube. You could go into Doordarshan. Doordarshan is one of the largest, still the digital terrestrial network. So you will have to think of all these interesting aspects now. Possibly the government will have to, the broader aspects of education can be covered on a television kind of a thing, and then you move to very specific things which the school have to create things on YouTube. We will have to create a lot of new learning modules in local languages as well, which will be required on YouTube. We don't forget, primarily all our digital medium right now, the language is lingua franca, is English. We'll have to consider all these aspects as well. So I'm hoping as we move forth, we'll resolve all these issues. On that hope and on that interesting note, especially considering that now our mornings are much more freer and I'm able to get back to my work very in a much calmer and saner manner now that the kids don't have to grapple with their morning classes. On that hope and happiness, I will take a leave for today. I'll catch you again soon. Till then, stay inside, stay safe, and don't forget to wash your hands. Bye bye.